And today's lunch is going to be a butternut vegan lasagna. And for that you will be needing 1.5 kilo of butternut squash. Let's see, peeled, de-seeded and in chunks. So that. You might say I hit the jackpot. Look, that's all there is. Usually it's this big sort of, or sometimes even bigger, that you have to take away. This is like, opening an avocado and finding a tiny, tiny, tiny seed. So people, time to chunk them up. And here it is chunked, and now we're going to pour about, I don't know, it says 1 teaspoon of olive oil. No, a tablespoon of olive oil. Yes, I started drinking early this Christmas. But I'm going to pour about 2. And then mix. Lots of recipes says that sort of you put the squash or whatever it is you're going to roast onto a plate, and then you sort of pour olive oil over and then you mix. But I find it's so much easier to do this in a sort of nice deep bowl and then just sort of pour it out like this, right? So this goes into a preheated oven at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. No, fuck, Celsius. It's something else in Fahrenheit completely. I don't know if it's more or less. See you in 30 minutes, suckers. People, it's half an hour later. The butternut squash has been in the oven for over 30 minutes. And it looks, I would say that's done, right? I mean, it's going to be cooked again. So let's close that. So while the butternut squash sort of cools down to be manageable, I'm going to show you what the ingredients are. And they're not that many for a lasagna. You need the lasagna sheets, vegan cream, salt, pepper, flour, vegan bouillon, nutmeg, vegan milk, a pot of sort of sad-looking sage, and olive oil. That's it. Madness, right? Well, of course, and the butternut squash. Okay, by the way, here's a recycling tip. So I try to recycle all my plastic, and often they just balloon because you got all those little things. But if you take one of the harder ones, plastics like this was cookies, or that was mouthwash, and then you can just put, I made an X, I cut an X into that, and then you can just put that in and cram it, because then it won't be sort of so voluminous. Okay, back to this. And now we are going to turn this into sauce, which means pureeing it in a food processor. Let's go. To make this a little more manageable, I'm going to add 1 deciliter of vegan cream, which is all the vegan cream you put into this. And now I get to use my new little pan that Martin gave to me. I've scrubbed and cleaned it, and now I'm going to just preheat it. And then I'm going to and I added some oil that I let sink in. I'm going to heat it, and then I'm going to add some olive oil, 1/2 deciliter of olive oil, and then I'm going to sort of fry in oil these lovely, lovely leaning sage, sticks. So things are happening, people. This is the sage getting fried sage. So that's done. I'm not quite sure because it's quite thick. I'm not sure if I'm going to put some water into it or no, let it be. I say, as the Beatles, let it be. Now it's time to do the bechamel sauce. To do that, you need 1/2 deciliter of olive oil that you heat in a pan. And then you add 1 deciliter of regular flour. And the reason you do this to the flour is so that the flour stops tasting floury. I've read that. Then you're going to add, when that cooks, you're going to add, 7.5 deciliters of vegan milk. And then 1 cube of vegan bouillon for taste, I guess. And then some nutmeg, salt, pepper. Then we start assembling. In goes the oil. Then when that's hot, in goes the flour. And stir. Yeah, the oil will all be sort of sucked up into the flour, and this is just sort of, we are basically frying flour. The recipe says that this should bubble for a minute, and I'm not quite sure how you make this bubble. Anyway, a minute has gone by, so it's time to add milk, a little at a time, and whisk and whisk. See you on the other side. Wait, for this recipe you will be using about 350 grams of pasta sheets. And in goes the bouillon cube. This is sort of, I don't know, consistency of cream or yogurt. And now you should also add the amount of nutmeg you want. And I want it quite nutmeggy because I think it'd be quite mild. And there's one ingredient I forgot to sort of tell you. I told you about the black pepper, but we will also be using white pepper in the bechamel sauce. The black pepper is in that one. I guess, did I add it? Have I added it? Maybe I forgot. Wait, where is it? Yes, well, I will add it to that. So there you go. So I like black pepper. Okay, now it's the bechamel sauce is done, and this is done, and that is wet. So let's start assembling. You start with a great big dollop of this in the bottom. In the bottom, yes, in the bottom of the pan. Read the whole recipe before you do anything. And then you put sheets of these sheets, that's milk, on top, and then bechamel, and then you sort of, you know how to build a lasagna. I was so blinded by what I put in the bottom, I forgot. I might have given the impression that you should put the lasagna sheets on top of that, because that was what I said. But you are going to add first a layer of bechamel sauce, and then the sheets. So there you go. So look at that. I mean, I can't put any more filling into it. I might have to get a bigger lasagna pan, because I never know exactly. I mean, it would be so much nicer if it was that much higher. So I think I'll get a bigger one, and then it doesn't matter if it just sort of swims in the bottom of it. Now into the oven that goes, 175 degrees for 50 minutes. That's 50 people. It's 50 minutes later, and this is what it looks done. But I will leave it in for a little bit longer, because a bit more color, right? Okay, people, it's time to take it out. It smells really good. But the thing with the lasagna is it gets better if you let it stand. So I'm not going to eat it now. I'm going to eat it in about an hour, 2 hours. I'm going to have a sandwich. It looks kind of good, doesn't it? With all those dried sage leaves. I'm so hungry right now. I am so... Okay, people, it's time to, start gobbling up this sucker. This is a nice tomato, olive oil, and mint salad with some salt. So now it's time to try... Wait, we get that backlight. We do not want, do we? No. So it's time to sort of chug into this butternut squash lasagna. Needs more salt. And it would have been nice with some sort of, tomato sauce or something to go over it, because this will be sort of every mouthful will taste the same. It's good. It's almost like sort of a mash. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe and tell all your friends and family and lovers how fantastic I am, and tell them to watch me as well.